There is one skill, one superpower that separates forgettable speakers from unforgettable leaders. It's not vocabulary, it's not accent, it's not how loud you talk, it's clarity. Because if people can't understand you, they cannot follow you. They cannot trust you, they cannot buy from you, they cannot be influenced by you. But here's the truth nobody tells you. Clarity is not natural, clarity is trained, clarity is built, clarity is a discipline. Today, I'm giving you 3 vocal exercises that, if you repeat every single day, will make you speak 10 times clearer than you do right now. No theory, no nonsense, just real techniques that sharpen your voice like a blade. Let's begin. Your voice is your identity, not your name, not your face, not your job title, your voice. Because long before people understand your message, they judge the messenger, they hear your tone. They decode your confidence, they measure your certainty, they feel your energy, and in a world where attention is the most expensive currency, your voice is the very first test you must pass. A strong voice doesn't mean a loud voice. It means a voice with direction, a voice with intention, a voice that stands up before you do. People think identity is about appearance, but your physical presence enters a room slowly, your voice enters instantly. It reveals your mindset, your discipline, your self-respect. It communicates whether you lead your thoughts or your thoughts lead you. Your voice tells the world what you believe about yourself. When you speak weak, people assume you feel weak. When your words collapse halfway, they assume you collapse under pressure. When your tone sounds uncertain, they assume your ideas are uncertain. And when your voice carries power, precision, and control, people assume you are someone worth listening to. That is why clarity matters. That is why articulation matters. That is why breath control matters. Not because you want to sound good, but because your voice becomes the bridge between your internal world and your external influence. Every time you speak, you are revealing your internal structure, your discipline, your confidence, your identity. Your voice is not just sound, it is psychology. Think of the people you admire, leaders. Thinkers, communicators, they could read a grocery list and still sound powerful. Why? Because their voice carries ownership. They don't borrow confidence, they embody it. They don't chase approval, they command attention. Their voice doesn't shake because their mind doesn't shake. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people never train their voice. They train their body, they train their brain, but their voice, they assume it will magically represent them the way they want to be seen. It doesn't. Your voice reflects your daily habits, your breathing habits, your articulation habits, your speaking posture, your mental clarity, your emotional state. If your voice is rushed, you're overwhelmed. If your voice is tight, you're stressed. If your voice is flat, you're disconnected. If your voice is shaky, you're unsure. Your voice exposes you faster than your words can hide you. But here's the good news, your voice is trainable. Malleable, adjustable, you can rebuild it, you can strengthen it, you can sharpen it, you can turn it from a whisper of insecurity into a weapon of influence. You can create a voice that moves people. A voice that grounds rooms, a voice that demands presence without demanding attention, a voice that becomes unforgettable because clarity is a decision, power is a decision, confidence is a decision. And your voice is the expression of those decisions. When you speak with intention, people feel it, they lean in, they respect the structure in your tone, they trust the steadiness in your pace, they follow the certainty in your delivery. You stop sounding like someone who is unsure of their worth, and you start sounding like someone who knows exactly who they are and where they're going. Your voice becomes your signature, your fingerprint. Your presence the moment you open your mouth, people know whether you're leading or following, whether you're hoping or commanding, whether you're guessing or knowing, and the world responds accordingly. You can have the best ideas, the strongest vision, the most powerful message, but if your voice doesn't match the strength of your ideas, the world will never feel their impact. Your message can only be as powerful as the voice that delivers it. This is why training your voice isn't optional, it's essential, because every important moment in your life, every opportunity, every negotiation, every pitch, every relationship, every first impression relies on your ability to communicate clearly. Your voice can open doors or close them. It can build trust or destroy it. It can elevate your presence or erase it. People say just be yourself. But your voice is the part of yourself the world meets first. Work on it, strengthen it, discipline it. Shape it until it represents you with accuracy, not insecurity, because your voice is not just a sound you produce. It is the identity you project. And when your voice rises with clarity, when it carries certainty, when it reflects the strength you've built, the world doesn't just hear you, the world remembers you. Clarity isn't a talent, it's a trained muscle, People love telling themselves that some speakers are just naturally clear, as if those individuals were born with perfect articulation, perfect breath control, perfect pacing, perfect confidence. They weren't. Nobody comes into this world with a fully developed voice. Nobody arrives with a sharpened message. Nobody is born with clarity. Clarity is earned, built, crafted through discipline, repetition, and self-awareness. The problem is that most people treat clarity like a personality trait instead of a skill. They say, "I'm not a clear speaker," and accept that as permanent truth. They blame their accent, their nerves, their upbringing, their past. But clarity has nothing to do with where you're from and everything to do with what you choose to train. You weren't born walking, you learned. You weren't born writing, you learned. And the same way, you weren't born speaking with precision, you learn through deliberate conditioning. Clarity is the result of control. Control of your breath, control of your pace, control of your articulation, control of your thinking, and control does not appear magically. It comes through repetition. You build clarity the same way athletes build strength, one rep at a time. One exercise at a time, one moment of intentional practice at a time. That's why people who speak with sharp confidence sound different. They've trained more than you have, they've done the drills, they've corrected their mistakes. They've rewired their habits. Most people speak on autopilot. They talk the way they breathe, shallow, rushed, unconscious. They talk the way they think, scattered, unfocused, chaotic. That's why their words blur together, their sentences crash into each other, and their message gets lost halfway through. Not because they're incapable, but because they never learn to control the machine that produces clarity. Clarity comes from slowing down your mind before you open your mouth. It comes from breathing deeply so your voice doesn't collapse. It comes from articulating each word like it matters because it does. Every syllable is a reflection of your discipline. Every statement is a representation of your inner structure. A strong voice is not the outcome of talent. It's the outcome of respect. Respect for your message, respect for your listeners, respect for yourself. When you train clarity, your entire presence upgrades. You become someone whose words land, someone who is taken seriously, someone who commands attention, not by force, but by precision. People don't lean in because you're loud. They lean in because you're unmistakably clear. They trust you more, they follow you faster, they understand you instantly, and understanding is the foundation of influence. Think about it. You can have the greatest idea, the deepest wisdom, the most valuable insight, but if you deliver it poorly, it loses power. A blurred message is a wasted opportunity. A messy delivery is a broken bridge. You might have brilliance to offer, but brilliance cannot shine through a muddy voice. Clarity lifts your message out of the noise. It makes your voice stand out in a world full of mumbling, rushing, whispering uncertainties. And the best part, anyone can train clarity. Anyone. It doesn't matter your background, your accent, your age, or your experience. Clarity is simply the art of mastering three things: breath, articulation, and intention. When you control your breath, your voice becomes steady instead of shaky. When you sharpen your articulation, your words hit instead of melting together. When you speak with intention, your message cuts straight to the point instead of wandering in circles. These are skills you build through daily repetition. Just like you train your body in the gym, you train your voice through drills, exercises, and conscious practice. The more you train, the more natural it becomes. What feels forced today becomes effortless tomorrow. What feels challenging becomes automatic, and one day people will tell you you're such a naturally clear speaker. Without ever knowing the hours you invested into shaping your voice into a tool of influence. Clarity is not luck. Clarity is not genetics. Clarity is not gifted to a chosen few. Clarity is a muscle, and every time you speak with intention, you strengthen that muscle. Every time you slow down and articulate, you sharpen it. Every time you breathe deeply before speaking, you empower it. Every day you practice, you compound it. If you want to transform the way the world hears you, stop waiting for talent. Talent won't save you. Practice will, discipline will, repetition will, build the muscle, and clarity will follow. Train the skill, and confidence will rise naturally. Because when you own your voice, you own your message, and when you own your message, the world listens. The way you breathe determines the way you speak. People think speaking starts at the mouth, but speech begins long before a single word escapes your lips. It begins with your breath, the fuel, the foundation, the invisible force that shapes every sound you produce. If your breath is weak, your voice is weak. If your breath is scattered, your message is scattered. If your breath is rushed, your delivery becomes rushed. Your breath is the engine behind your clarity, your confidence, your presence. Most people live in a constant state of shallow breathing, quick, tight, stressed breaths. They're not breathing to speak, they're breathing to survive, and when you're stuck in survival breathing, your voice reflects it. You sound tired, you sound unsure, you sound like you're fighting for air instead of owning your space. No matter how powerful your ideas are, your voice collapses under the weight of poor breathing. Deep, controlled breathing signals control, a grounded mind, a stable energy, a centered presence. When your breath is anchored, your voice becomes anchored. When your breath flows, your message flows, and nothing elevates your speaking clarity faster than mastering your breath, because breath is the source of vocal power. Your breath controls your tone. When you breathe deeply, your tone becomes fuller, warmer, stronger. People can feel the difference immediately. A steady breath gives your voice weight and authority. But when you breathe shallow, your voice sounds thin, fragile, uncertain. Even if you try to fake confidence, your breath exposes the truth. Your voice can't hide what your lungs are doing. Your breath controls your pace. When you breathe deeply, you naturally slow down. You speak with calm purpose instead of rushing through your sentences. You give your words space to land. You honor your message. But when your breathing is tight, you speak too fast. You run out of air. You cut words short. You sound hurried, anxious, unprepared, even when you're not. People don't trust a rushed voice. They trust a steady one. Your breath controls your clarity. Every sound you make requires air. Consonants need precision. Vowels need space. Without proper breath, your articulation becomes sloppy. Your words soften, your message blurs, but when you breathe fully, your articulation sharpens without effort. Your voice gains structure, your words become distinct. You don't just speak, you transmit. You don't just talk, you connect. And your breath controls your confidence, not the fake confidence people try to project, but the real confidence that comes from inner composure. Deep breathing shifts your physiology. It calms your nervous system. It lowers anxiety. It gives you presence. When you take control of your breath, your mind follows, your voice follows, your entire presence follows. You walk into any room with the invisible advantage of grounded energy. This is why the most powerful speakers breathe intentionally. They don't gasp for air mid-sentence. They don't rush. They don't collapse. Their voice flows because their breath flows. Their tone is stable because their breathing is stable. Their impact is strong because their breath gives their words power. Think of breathing as your vocal foundation. If the foundation is weak, everything built on top of it will crack. Your voice is the structure people hear, but your breath is the structure holding everything together. And when you strengthen the foundation, the entire structure elevates. The truth is, you don't need to be a professional speaker to master your breath. You don't need training, fancy tools, or equipment. You just need intentionality, a few minutes a day, a few controlled breaths. A few moments of awareness before speaking. That's enough to rewire your nervous system and transform your voice. Deep breathing is a commitment to show up with presence instead of panic, with clarity instead of chaos, with confidence instead of hesitation. Breath is power, and you carry that power everywhere you go. The more you train it, the more your voice matches the strength of your character. When you master your breath, you command your voice. When you command your voice, you command your message. And when your message carries controlled breath behind it, people don't just hear you, they feel you. Great speakers aren't defined by their words. They're defined by the energy beneath their words. And that energy comes from breath. Your breath determines your tone, your pace, your clarity, your presence, your confidence, everything that makes a voice compelling. If you change the way you breathe, you will change the way you speak, and when you change the way you speak, you will change the way the world responds to you. Every word carries weight. Most people speak as if their words evaporate the moment they leave their mouth, but they don't. Words land, words shape perceptions, words create impressions that either open doors or quietly close them. Every word you speak is a reflection of your identity, your discipline, your mindset, and your intention. That's why careless speech produces careless results. Powerful speech produces powerful results. The weight of your words determines the weight of your presence. When you understand this, you stop talking just to fill silence. You stop throwing sentences into the air without purpose. You start respecting your own voice. You start using language as a tool instead of a habit. Every word you choose either strengthens your message or weakens it. It either pushes people toward you or pulls them away. It either elevates your credibility or destroys it within seconds. Most people talk in noise, unnecessary details, filler phrases, random thoughts stitched together without direction. They think the world will dig through the noise to find the point. It won't. People don't chase clarity, they respond to clarity. That's why every word you speak must serve your message, not distract from it. You speak to connect, you speak to communicate, you speak to influence, clarify, direct, and move people. Words that don't serve those purposes only dilute your presence. When you treat your words like they matter, people begin to listen differently. They lean in, they feel the intention behind your delivery. They recognize the respect you have for your own message, and that creates respect for you. People don't remember the fastest speaker or the loudest speaker. They remember the one whose words hit with precision, the one whose message feels carved instead of thrown together, the one who speaks like they understand the weight of their voice. Your words carry emotional weight too. A careless sentence can crush someone's confidence without you realizing it. A thoughtless phrase can damage trust. A weak statement can make you look smaller than you are. At the same time, a well-chosen word can lift someone out of doubt. A strong sentence can inspire. A direct message can shift someone's belief system. You have the power to build or break with nothing more than breath shaped into language. That's how powerful your words are. But power doesn't come from talking more. It comes from talking with intention. When you understand the weight of your words, you begin to slow down, you pause, you think, you articulate. You choose clarity over speed. You choose impact over noise. You choose precision over rambling. That discipline changes everything, not just how people hear you, but how they perceive you as a leader, a communicator, and a human being. Your words also carry psychological weight. Every time you speak, you reinforce your identity to yourself. When you speak weakly, you program weakness. When you speak fear, you strengthen fear. When you speak doubt, you deepen doubt. But when you speak with conviction, your mind follows your tone. When you choose words that reflect strength, your identity rises to match them. The weight of your words doesn't only impact others, it shapes you. Watch the strongest communicators. They don't waste breath. They don't over-explain. They don't bury their message under unnecessary complexity. They say exactly what needs to be said and nothing more. That discipline makes their words feel heavier. A single sentence from a disciplined speaker hits harder than an entire paragraph from a scattered one. Power isn't in quantity, it's in intentionality. Every conversation you have is an opportunity to strengthen your voice or weaken it. Every interaction builds your reputation or chips away at it. Every word adds to the story people carry about you. If your words are sloppy, your image becomes sloppy. If your words are sharp, your presence becomes sharp. The weight of your words creates the weight of your character in the eyes of others, so speak with purpose. Speak with direction, speak with clarity, speak like your message matters because it does, speak like every word has the power to shift the moment because it does, speak like your voice carries impact because it does. When you start treating your words with respect, the world will start treating your voice with respect. People will listen more, people will take you seriously, people will trust your message, people will feel your presence. Because in the end, every word you speak is a representation of the standard you hold yourself to. And the standard you speak with becomes the standard the world holds you to. Consistency beats intensity. It's one of the simplest truths in human development, yet the hardest one for people to accept. Everyone loves intensity, the big push, the dramatic effort, the sudden burst of motivation that makes you feel powerful for a moment. But intensity is temporary. It burns hot, then fades fast. Consistency, on the other hand, is quiet. It's repetitive. It's unglamorous. Yet it is the only force strong enough to reshape your identity, your skills, and your destiny. People fail not because they can't work hard, but because they don't know how to work daily. They put in one huge day of effort and then expect permanent results. They speak once with confidence and expect to become powerful communicators. They train one day, write one day, practice one day, and then fall back into old patterns. Intensity gives you a moment. Consistency gives you momentum. The truth is brutal but simple. Anything you do once changes nothing. Anything you do daily changes everything. Think about the skill of speaking clearly, confidently, powerfully. You don't master it in a single training session. You don't transform your voice with one exercise. You don't reprogram your mind with one moment of courage. The development of your voice, your clarity, your presence, all of it comes from the small, repeated actions that compound over time, the boring reps. The quiet practice, the daily discipline no one sees. Consistency rewires your nervous system. Consistency rebuilds your habits. Consistency sharpens your identity. Consistency makes improvement inevitable. Intensity may spark change, but consistency sustains it. The reason consistency beats intensity is because the human body and mind change slowly but permanently through repetition. A single intense workout won't make you strong. A single deep breath won't make you calm. A single moment of clarity won't make you a great communicator. But when you do the right actions over and over again, something powerful happens. Your brain adapts, your muscles adapt, your emotions adapt, your patterns adapt. Consistency transforms you from the inside out. Intensity relies on motivation. Consistency relies on discipline, and discipline is always more reliable than motivation. Motivation is a visitor, it comes and goes. Discipline is a resident, it stays. The people who win in life don't have more talent, they don't have more luck, they don't have magical gifts, they simply show up more days than others, they practice when others are tired. They continue when others quit. They stay committed when others get distracted. They choose small daily wins instead of waiting for massive, inconsistent bursts. Intensity can make you look impressive. Consistency makes you become impressive. Intensity makes noise. Consistency builds mastery. Intensity excites the moment. Consistency defines the identity. If you practice your voice for 10 minutes every day, you will beat the person who practices 1 hour once a week. If you articulate intentionally every morning, you will surpass the one who tries hard only when it matters. If you speak consciously in every conversation, you will dominate the one who only speaks clearly when the stakes are high. Consistency builds confidence because confidence comes from evidence, and daily action is evidence. When you show up every day, even for a few minutes, your mind starts believing in your ability. You become more certain, more grounded, more capable. You stop hoping you'll be good and start knowing you'll be good because your habits prove it. Intensity seeks results. Consistency builds the system that guarantees results. And here's the part people struggle with. Consistency doesn't give you immediate reward. It doesn't feel dramatic. It doesn't feel heroic. Some days it doesn't feel like it's working at all, but it is. Every small repetition is depositing into your future. Every micro practice is strengthening your identity. Every deliberate action is building a version of you that will eventually look effortless to everyone else. Small daily steps accumulate into massive transformation, not because each step is big, but because each step is repeated. That's why consistency beats intensity. Intensity creates moments. Consistency creates mastery. If you want to speak with power, practice daily. If you want clarity, train your voice every morning. If you want influence, sharpen your communication every day. If you want confidence, build it one breath, one word, one repetition at a time. Big efforts can move you forward. Small efforts repeated can make you unstoppable. Consistency beats intensity, not sometimes, not occasionally, but always. Because anyone can be intense for a moment, but only a few have the discipline to be consistent for a lifetime. Let me leave you with this. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you rise to the level of your training. You want a clearer voice, you want to speak with authority, you want people to stop asking, "What did you say?" You want your message to land with impact, power, and precision, then these 3 exercises aren't optional. They are your ritual, your discipline, your edge. Do them every day, and watch your voice transform from unclear to undeniable, from ordinary to unforgettable, from background noise to the voice people listen to. Because clarity is power, and now it's yours.